King Solomon, the man full of wisdom. No one of us here has the wealth to a standard of King Solomon. King Solomon had houses and buildings and everything. King Solomon had properties, and God had blessed him abundantly. The Bible speaks of him being among the most blessed men, King Solomon. The Bible says in Proverbs 4 and verse 23, he says, above all things, guard your heart. The reason why you forgive is because you know the greatest protection you should get is not medical policy. The greatest policy is to guard your heart. Because anything that will happen to you, its entry point is through your heart. When you forgive, you are guarding your heart. When you forgive, you are guarding your peace. When you forgive, you are guarding who you are. Because Solomon knew all things will go, but his heart, his soul, his being will remain with the Lord. The story of a prodigal son is a clear illustration of what forgiveness is. The son wounded the father. The son took everything belonged to him and left the father. Possibly tell the father, I'm not worthy to be under your shade, to be under your roof. And the child went away. What happened when the child was away? He suffered and suffered and suffered. The Bible says the son came back to his senses and said, how many of my father's hired servants, they have food to eat and a place to sleep, and I'm here suffering? What did the son do? The son said, I'm going back to my father, and I'll say, Father, I have sinned against you and against heavens. I'm not worthy to be called your son. I know many of us are not worthy to be called somebody's wife. You are not worthy to be called someone's husband, because what you have done is too awful. But this story gives us an expression of unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness. When the son was still far, the father saw the son. It is not the son who saw the father. The father was hurting. The father was wounded. But the father extended the hand of love. He extended the hand of reconciliation. He extended the hand of forgiveness. And the father said, I long to see my son. I long to see my son come back to my house. It doesn't matter the pain, I need him back. Am I talking to people who don't talk to one another? Am I talking to people who feel that they are so much wounded? Not because they are so much wounded, but it's because they have not made the choice to stretch the hand of reconciliation and forgiveness. The Bible says when the father saw the son, the father ran to the son. The son was worried. The son said, this is another moment for me to be punished. This is another moment for me to be crushed. But to the disappointment of the son, the father embraced the son and said, my son, welcome home. They never had a case. They never sat to see who was wrong and who was right. They had a moment to reconcile. With love comes unconditional forgiveness. It is possible, mama, to forgive that person. It is possible to forgive your mother. It is possible to forgive your father. It is possible to forgive that person who have wounded you most. It is possible to forgive your neighbor who have always bothered you. It is possible to forgive that person who have misrepresented you. It is possible to forgive. The Bible says that the father ignored the pain. The father ignored the wound and stretched the hand of unconditional forgiveness. And the Bible says he blessed the son. When love is there, men and women embraces one another. This is the true gospel. With love, the prodigal son was reconciled to the father. Reconciliation should be the theme of our families, should be the theme of our extended relationship, should be the theme of our neighborhood, should be the theme of the church, should be the theme of the choir, should be the theme of all of us, because this is who God wants us to be. And new thing cannot happen in a place where there is no reconciliation. Do you want to buy a new car? Go and reconcile with your father. Go and reconcile with your mother. Go and reconcile with that person whom you know things are not right with you. With love, friendship is restored. Please, let us restore friendships. With love, friendship, and forgiveness, fellowship is restored. Let us restore fellowship. Christ called us into a fellowship. Two fellows in one ship to come together in fellowship. Do we have fellowship with our families? Can a husband and wife sit and eat together and chat and be happy? Do we have happy marriages here? Remember, a church is a congregation of families. And if there is no fellowship in our families, there will be no fellowship in church. If a husband and wife cannot chat and be happy at home, they will not be happy in church. God is calling us to be happy people. With love, the father didn't count the pain. Please stop counting the pain your children have inflicted on you. It is true she became pregnant as before finishing school. It is true that they stole your money. It is true that they take your car without your permission. It is true that they have stolen things from your house. It is true that they have done all manner of things. For God to do a new thing, I call on all of us, Church of God, today to learn not to count the loss. Let us not count the loss. Let us not count the pain. Let us not count the disappointment. Because God wants to do a new thing. And He cannot do a new thing to a heart that is still stuck to the wrong things that happened. Purpose and your purpose for reconciliation should be for yourself to get a new thing from God. Kuna ule mwimbaji akasema, niumbie moyo safi e Bwana. Huwezi kuumbiwa moyo safi mpendwa, na kuna jirani yako ambaye hamuongeleshani. Hauwezi kuumbiwa moyo safi na kuna watu wengi ambao unawaona si wazuri kwa sababu ya kitu kimoja walichokufanyia. Niruhusuni niwaambie hivi, ninapohubiri in this manner, I would do the fearless thing and give this illustration of this teacher who went to a class and gave a question paper to all the students. And the question paper ilikuwa imefunikwa, kwa hivyo hakuna mwanafunzi angeona swali. Aliposema mbele akasema, you have 5 minutes to answer the question. Now turn over the paper. And the children, they all turn over the paper to read the question. The question says, give an explanation of what you see on this paper. And the children started writing, because that paper was a plain paper. Very plain, nothing was there. Except hapa katikati kulikuwa na dot nyeusi. Imewekwa kadoti kadogo keusi. So all the children, they started explaining the small dot. And they explained the small dot. And they explained the small dot. When the teacher took his stool and said, this question will not amount to the marks and the grade in your report forms, but this was to teach us that we should have a bigger picture about life. The teacher said, you have all of you seen the small black spot. Why didn't you see all the other white services? None of you explained about the larger white service. You all concentrated on a small black spot about your wife, on a small black spot about your neighbor, on a small black spot about that person in your office, on a small black spot about that